Allison Holker sat in the cozy corner of her living room, scrolling through her email when a notification lit up her screen. The subject line read, "A career-defining opportunity awaits." Intrigued, she opened it to find a personalized message from Marcus Kane, a renowned producer celebrated for his ambitious projects and glittering reputation in the entertainment industry. Marcus wanted Allison to take on the role of lead choreographer and performer for his latest venture, a multi-million-dollar production combining live theater, dance, and a documentary film. Allison felt a flicker of skepticism. Her years in the industry had taught her to be wary of grand promises, especially from someone like Marcus, whose charm often disguised hidden agendas. Yet, the project's concept intrigued her. A story of resilience told through the language of dance. This wasn't just another production, it was a chance to create art that could resonate deeply with audiences. Despite her reservations, Allison decided to meet with Marcus. The meeting was held in a sleek downtown office with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a sweeping view of the city. Marcus exuded confidence, his tailored suit and silver-tongued charisma commanding the room. "Allison, you're the best in the business," he said, sliding a polished contract across the table with a confident smile. "This project needs your magic. Together, we'll set a new standard for the art form." "This project needs your magic." "Together, we'll redefine the dance world." Allison glanced at the paperwork. 6 months of rehearsals, creative control over choreography, and a generous paycheck that reflected her worth. Marcus assured her that everything would run smoothly. "You'll have all the resources you need. Trust me. This will be the crown jewel of your career," he said, his grin wide and persuasive. Despite a flicker of doubt, Allison signed. Her passion for dance and the opportunity to create something groundbreaking outweighed her hesitation. "Let's do it," she said, shaking Marcus's hand. The next few months were a whirlwind. Rehearsals stretched late into the night, and Allison poured her soul into every step, shaping the dancers into a cohesive, breathtaking ensemble. Marcus occasionally dropped by to watch, always full of compliments and promises. "This is going to blow minds," he would say, leaving just as quickly as he arrived. But cracks began to show. The costumes arrived late. The sets were incomplete, and whispers of unpaid crew members reached Allison's ears. She confronted Marcus, who brushed off her concerns with practiced ease. "Don't worry," he said. "The money's tied up in logistics, but it's coming. Just focus on the art." On opening night, the production dazzled. Critics raved about the choreography, calling it a visual symphony of emotion, and the audience gave a standing ovation. Marcus soaked up the spotlight, claiming credit for the show's success, but he didn't once mention Allison or her team. When Allison finally approached him backstage about her payment, Marcus flashed his trademark grin. "Let's talk later," he said, patting her shoulder. "Right now, let's celebrate." That celebration, however, was the beginning of a nightmare Allison never saw coming. The glow of opening night faded quickly, leaving Allison with a growing sense of unease. The production had been a triumph, yet something about Marcus Kane's evasive behavior set her on edge. Days turned into weeks, and despite repeated emails and phone calls, her promised payment never materialized. Allison finally decided to confront Marcus directly. She waited outside his office one afternoon, her arms crossed tightly, rehearsing what she would say. When Marcus arrived, he seemed surprised to see her. "Allison," he exclaimed with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. What a pleasant surprise. She wasted no time. "Marcus, it's been weeks, and I haven't seen a single cent of my payment. What's going on?" Marcus waved her concern away with a dismissive laugh. "Oh, you know how these things go. Accounting is a mess right now, but don't worry, you'll get your check soon." Allison frowned, her frustration bubbling to the surface. "That's not good enough, Marcus. I've worked hard, and I deserve to be paid on time." His grin faltered for a moment before he leaned in, lowering his voice. "Look, Allison, you're getting exposure from this. That's worth more than a paycheck." Don't you think the words stung like a slap? Exposure? Allison had built a career spanning years of dedication, creativity, and grit. She didn't need exposure, she needed the respect and compensation she'd been promised. When she pressed him further, Marcus's tone turned icy. "You'll get paid when I decide. If you keep pushing, maybe I'll reconsider altogether." The threat hung in the air, silencing her for the moment. She left his office fuming, her mind racing with disbelief and anger. She had trusted Marcus with her work, her reputation, and he had turned her efforts into his stepping stone while leaving her in the dust. Days later, as Allison sought advice from colleagues, she discovered a growing rumor circulating within the industry Marcus had been bad-mouthing her. According to him, Allison had been difficult to work with, demanding resources the production couldn't afford. He spun a narrative that painted her as ungrateful and selfish, tarnishing her reputation to cover his tracks. The final blow came when a mutual contact forwarded her a social media post. Marcus had publicly taken credit for the choreography, calling himself the creative genius behind the show. Allison's blood boiled as she read his smug words, her name conspicuously absent from the glowing praise. Sitting in her living room that evening, Allison wrestled with her options. Part of her wanted to let it go, to move on and focus on new opportunities. But the fire in her chest refused to die. Marcus hadn't just stolen her work, he'd humiliated her, jeopardized her career, and disrespected the art form she loved. Her husband, Twitch, sat beside her, his hand resting on hers. "You've got to fight this," he said gently. "You've worked too hard to let someone like Marcus take credit for what you've built. It's time to remind people who Allison Holker is." Allison nodded, her resolve hardening. She wasn't just fighting for herself, she was fighting for every artist who'd been exploited, underpaid, or undervalued. What would you do if someone tried to steal credit for your hard work? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Like this video if you believe in standing up for what's right, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more stories of resilience and justice. Turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Allison woke up the next morning with a sense of purpose she hadn't felt in weeks. The sting of Marcus's betrayal was still fresh, but it had ignited a fire within her. She wasn't going to let him walk away unscathed, not when her reputation, career, and the hard work of countless other artists were at stake. Allison began her fight by digging into Marcus Kane's past. With Twitch's support, she spent hours researching online, reaching out to dancers, technicians, and other creatives who had worked with him. What she found was a pattern of exploitation that sent her blood boiling. There were stories of unpaid performers, vendors whose invoices went ignored, and promises broken just like hers. One choreographer shared how Marcus had used her work for a production without ever giving her credit. A lighting designer revealed that he'd had to sue just to get a fraction of what he was owed. "This isn't just about me," Allison realized, her hands tightening into fists as she read the messages. "This is how he operates. He preys on artists, and then throws them aside." With evidence piling up, Allison knew she couldn't fight this battle alone. She reached out to a trusted attorney who specialized in entertainment law. Together, they began building a case, collecting contracts, invoices, and testimonials from others Marcus had wronged. The attorney's advice was clear: we need to expose him publicly and legally. He thrives in the shadows, but once the truth is out, he won't be able to hide. Allison hesitated. Going public meant opening herself up to scrutiny and potential backlash. But as she thought about the young dancers who had been robbed of their dreams and the technicians struggling to make ends meet because of Marcus's lies, she knew she couldn't stay silent. Allison filmed a heartfelt video in her living room, speaking directly to her fans and the broader dance community. With her voice steady but her eyes shimmering with emotion, she shared her story. "I never thought I'd have to make a video like this," she began, taking a deep breath. "But it's time to speak up, not just for myself, but for every artist who's been exploited and silenced. Marcus Kane refused to pay me for my work, and I've learned that I'm not the only one." She detailed the months of rehearsals, the broken promises, and the public humiliation. Artists are the heart of this industry. Without us, there's no music, no choreography, no magic. And yet, time and time again, we're treated as if we're expendable. That has to stop. The video ended with a rallying cry. "If you've ever been mistreated by Marcus Kane or anyone like him, know that you're not alone. And to Marcus, if you're watching this, I'm not afraid of you." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, the video went viral, with the hashtag #PayTheArtist trending on social media. Fans and fellow performers flooded her comments with messages of support. Some shared their own stories of exploitation, while others praised her bravery for speaking out. Major entertainment outlets picked up the story, running headlines like "Allison Holker exposes producer Marcus Kane's exploitative practices and #PayTheArtist's movement takes the industry by storm." Even high-profile celebrities chimed in. A-list actors, musicians, and directors voiced their support for Allison, amplifying her message to millions. Have you ever stood up to someone who wronged you? Share your story in the comments below. It might inspire someone else to do the same. Like this video if you believe in fighting for justice, and don't forget to subscribe for more empowering stories. Turn on notifications to join us on this journey. The morning after Allison's video went viral, Marcus Kane's world began to crumble. Sponsors started pulling out of his projects, and his inbox flooded with messages from people demanding answers. Calls from reporters and former collaborators bombarded him, each one seeking confirmation of the allegations Allison had raised. Marcus tried to spin the narrative, issuing a statement claiming Allison was misinformed and that her claims were baseless. But his words fell flat in the face of the overwhelming evidence piling up against him. Former employees, artists, and vendors came forward, sharing similar stories of unpaid work, broken contracts, and manipulation. The tide had turned, and Marcus was now the villain in a story that had captured the attention of the entire entertainment industry. Behind the scenes, Allison and her legal team worked tirelessly. The lawsuit they filed against Marcus wasn't just for her unpaid wages, it was a collective action that included dozens of others who had been wronged. Contracts, invoices, and witness testimonies formed an airtight case, leaving Marcus with little room to maneuver. The court hearings were intense. Marcus's legal team tried to paint Allison as difficult and uncooperative, but her calm, articulate responses dismantled their arguments. "This isn't just about me," Allison said during her testimony. "This is about every artist who's ever been told their work isn't worth paying for. We deserve respect, and we deserve justice." In the midst of the legal battle, Marcus attempted to salvage his reputation by hosting a high-profile industry event. He invited the who's who of entertainment, hoping to reassert his influence. What he didn't expect was Allison showing up, flanked by some of the very artists he had wronged. As Marcus tried to charm the crowd, Allison calmly stepped forward. The room fell silent as she addressed the gathering. "We're here to tell the truth," she said, her voice steady. "For too long, people like Marcus Kane have exploited the talent and hard work of artists, hiding behind power and money. But not anymore." She revealed the evidence of his misconduct, showing contracts, unpaid invoices, and testimonies from those in the room. The crowd's murmurs turned to gasps as the full extent of Marcus's actions came to light. Humiliated and exposed, Marcus left the event, his once bright career now in shambles. With the lawsuit settled in her favor, Allison's fight for justice didn't end. The court ordered Marcus to pay millions in damages, not just to Allison but to all the victims who had joined the case. The judgment bankrupted him, and his production company collapsed under the weight of its tarnished reputation. Allison used the momentum of her victory to launch a movement advocating for fair treatment of artists. She partnered with unions, organizations, and fellow creatives to push for industry reforms, including standardized contracts and stricter penalties for non-payment. Her initiative, Respect the Artist, became a beacon of hope for performers everywhere. Allison's efforts led to significant changes in how artists were compensated and protected in the industry. A year later, Allison stood on stage at an awards gala, being honored for her contributions to the arts and her advocacy work. As she held the trophy in her hands, she looked out at the audience, many of whom had supported her journey. "This isn't just my victory," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "It's ours. It's for every artist who's ever been told their work doesn't matter, for every performer who's ever been taken advantage of. Our art matters, and so do we." Backstage, Twitch embraced her, his smile full of pride. "You've changed the game," he said. "No," Allison replied, her eyes shining. "We all did. What do you think about standing up for justice, even when it's risky? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's start a conversation. Like this video if you believe in fighting for what's right, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories like this. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update.